Hey there, I'm Melissa F. Kalin, the author of Below the 45th Parallel, The Beginner's Guide to Chasing the Aurora in the Great Lakes region, and founder of the Michigan Aurora Chasers. And I want to start today by thanking one of our photographers who's a member of the Michigan Aurora Chasers in our Facebook group, Samuel Warfel, who provided this amazing photo for the cover image of this talk. And so he is just a really talented photographer who lives in Wisconsin and has been chasing the aurora at lower latitudes. And as I continue to do more with aurora chasing and this channel, I'm hoping to showcase a few of the photographers whose work I really admire. So I believe that photo was taken in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And thank you so much, Samuel, for sharing your work. So I've been thinking a lot lately about origin stories. Sort of, how did we begin? Where was the beginning for us when we either started chasing the Northern Lights, viewing the Northern Lights, or even thinking about dark skies and stargazing and sky watching and some of those things that we all share in common? And I think it's so interesting to think about origin stories because everyone got started somehow. Maybe there was a moment. Maybe the aurora found you before you started chasing it, and you were trying to recreate those memories of that first night when you saw the Northern Lights dance above you. Maybe you've been chasing with intention, trying to see the Northern Lights and check it off your bucket list your entire life. Or maybe this is something you really think you could get into and see over and over again and experience in different places in different ways. Because I can tell you from my experience, no two aurora displays are ever the same. So yeah, what's your origin story? As I think about this, I'd love to know a little bit more about some of the people who are following along and learning how to chase the Northern Lights and even following my work. I'd love to engage our community around this. And I know that other authors and experts have done this in other parts of the world too. But everyone has their own story. Everyone has their own origin story. In fact, I have my origin story that's actually really sort of full of all the feels and very emotional and very intense, and it's very dear to my heart. And I've been thinking about how to share that origin story. And it's not that I've never told it before, but in a larger way where I reach a broader audience. What is the right time and the right channel and the right platform for that? And so as I think about that, though, I realized, there are many origins along this journey, at least for me, if I think creatively and sort of expand upon all the different opportunities and interactions and collisions with amazing people that I've had. There are all sorts of pieces and parts of this adventure that have their origins somewhere or on some starry night, maybe not even a starry night, maybe a cloudy night. We sure know that we get a lot of those here in Michigan. So my origin story is something that I'm still kind of holding pretty close to my chest and holding on to for the right time. But there are all these different beginnings that happened along the way. And I was thinking lately, I can think of so many of them, whether it was viewing the Milky Way for the first time, catching my first aurora, really starting to get chasing, learning some of the legends and mythology, learning the science, starting to interact on a daily basis with some of the scientists, which I have the opportunity to do in my day job. And it's just fascinating how many directions you can go. One of my coolest origin stories, though, happened on a road trip that I was taking in 2019 through the southern US. And I live in the United States. I live in the lower 48 states in Michigan, where it's difficult to see the Northern Lights and the Aurora Borealis, but it is possible. And if you learn how, you can do it with a fair amount of frequency. But I was driving through the southern US on one of my first long road trips where I was really just kind of on a joyride. And I was driving in Sunspot the Subaru, my sunshine orange Subi that I drive everywhere. And driving through the middle of the night, because I enjoy night driving. You don't have the traffic, you don't have the congestion, you don't have as much of the construction usually. And also you just get this beautiful view of the sky while you're driving, and you get to kind of see what's happening at night, whether it's bringing a dog along for the ride. That's my new puppy, Elio, the spunky pup. He wasn't there at the time. I was actually driving alone, or whether, you're noticing sort of the features of the moon and how it plays on the clouds, or seeing moon halos, or some of your favorite constellations, or even the Milky Way. And that is what I saw on this particular night. I can remember as I was driving through the southeastern US, headed toward Georgia, I was stumbling onto this rural road. I had been on the highway, but I decided to mix it up and sort of rejuvenate myself, feel a little bit more energy on the drive, a little bit more excitement for where I was going. So why not take a back road for a minute, right? So I got off the highway, I pulled onto this road and drove over a nice little bridge with these mossy trees kind of coming down, and these huge southern trees just reaching down, all around me. It really feels like they sort of extend their arms out to touch you through their branches. And it was so enchanting. I drove over one bridge, and then a second bridge, and then a third bridge. And at the same time, for the first time in my life, somehow, even though I'm an Eagles fan, I heard the song come onto my playlist, Seven Bridges Road, which of course is all about the southern skies and the starry nights and other things as well. But it really captures sort of that enchantment of driving in the dark on a starlit road through the South, as you're crossing over seven bridges. And I tried to count. I don't know if I was in the exact same spot or not, where the song is based on the song lyrics, but it was very, very similar. And I'm sure there's a little bit of debate as to where these things are originated, and what the actual road is that this song was written about. But that night was so gorgeous. I had to stop the car on the side of the road. And even though I was driving alone, as I sometimes do, I stepped out, turned off all the lights, and looked straight up. And above me stretched the Milky Way, not just all the stars, all the different portions of the Milky Way, but also the colors. It was so dark there. The skies were this true dark that I could really see some of the colors of the Milky Way, of our galaxy. And it was also during the summer, so I also got a beautiful view of the Milky Way core. And that is one of my origin stories, because that is probably, even though it was fairly recently, one of the first nights where I felt so confident under the stars, just like I could do anything under the night sky. I could lead people out under the night sky. I could lead entire groups out under the night sky. I mean, I've been doing that with groups of people for a long time, but it's really in the last 2 to 3 years, maybe a little bit more, that I've started, as the only person leading a group outside, helping people experience the night. And that is something I really love. And I think that is something that we can really empower each other to do, to have a little more courage, to take a little more risk, with safety in mind, of course, always. But also to really pursue those enchanting sights and those things that bring us so much joy and wonder, like my puppy Elio, the spunky pup. Hey Elio, what you doing there, buddy? You gonna check out my NASA poster? So Elio got his origin this year. He's new. He'll be around. I always hang out with him. But that is one of my origin stories. And I feel like I have a few more to share. And I also, as I build this channel, want to start thinking about how to feature your origin stories too. What can we do, whether it's out in the community, or here in our conversations, or in different forums, or maybe even on video on YouTube, because I got my origin this year on YouTube. So how can we engage each other around this and really start to share our story? So that's one of my origin stories. And as I decide how to use this channel, I hope to share a few more, but I hope it gives you a little bit of hope that you could see something beautiful in the night sky, reminds you to look up, and also give you that extra little motivation that you need to chase the Aurora Borealis. So as always, good luck on the Aurora chasing trail. Subscribe to my channel as we get started developing this really cool corner of the internet. And I look forward to hearing and learning and engaging more with you. So that's it for now. And thank you so much for following along. This has been a joy.